Welcome back. For tonight's video on a shortened career that I want to cover, Adam Deadmarsh. I've seen comments on videos asking why when I talk about previous eras, I talk very fondly about Adam Deadmarsh. He was just a great team guy. Now, was he the number one scorer in the league? No. Was he the number one scorer on the Avalanche? No. But he won fans over pretty quick. So he's drafted number 14 overall in 1993. So he's a first-round draft pick, around middle of the first round. And he comes into Quebec 94-95, plays 48 games, 9 goals, 8 assists, 17 points. But what wins people over is he's willing to go into the corners. He's willing to fight for pucks. He is defensive of his teammates. He's one of those guys, that you see it. The playoffs, 6 games played and 1 assist, and the team gets moved to Colorado. So his first year in Colorado, second year in the NHL, 78 games, 21 goals, 27 assists, 48 points. They win the Stanley Cup, of course, that first year. 22 games played in the playoffs by Deadmarsh, 5 goals, 12 assists, 17 points. Again, when you're talking about that Avalanche team, you're going to talk about this guy, Joe Sakic. You're going to talk about Patrick Roy. You're going to talk about, Forsberg and the star players. But Deadmarsh was one of those support guys you need in order to win a Stanley Cup. You have to have that depth. You have to have some of that grit and determination, and definitely he played with all of his heart in each game he played. Now, the problem was when they etched his name into the Stanley Cup, they spelled it Deadmarsh. He didn't like it. He went to them and he got it changed, but apparently it's still kind of sort of legible that you could see that they made a mistake and they just kind of went over top of it, which is not the only time that's happened with the Stanley Cup. I've talked about that in previous videos. Now, the interesting thing about Deadmarsh is that he's a dual citizen. So his mother's from Spokane, Washington. And much like Brett Hull before him, he wanted to play for Team Canada. It's like, I want to play for Team Canada, but Team Canada was kind of sort of, full. So before he hits the NHL, he, using his dual citizenship, decides, all right, I'm going to play for Team USA. He played in 3 World Junior Championships and in the 1994-95 World Junior Championships. In the midst of that season, right there, 7 games played, 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points for the USA. So pretty darn good in his 3rd World Championships. Now in 96, after going to the Stanley Cup and winning it, he then is in the World Cup of Hockey, and he wins gold with Team USA. 7 games played, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. Even though, being from Trail, BC, likely kind of wanted Team Canada to win, but hey, he's in Team USA. There you go. Now, in his following season, 96-97, he really came into his own. 78 games played, 33 goals, 27 assists, 60 points. That 33 goals led the Avalanche. That 60 points, the highest he would get in his career. And in the playoffs, 17 games played, 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. Again, not a player, how do I put this? Sort of like a poor man's Jonathan Toews would be the best way I could put it with him. Where he was a good two-way player, he's an aggressive player, He's a guy who'll get into those dirty areas in the corners and he'll fight for pucks. Now, the following season, 73 games played, 22 goals, 21 assists, 43 points in the playoffs. He only plays 7 games, 2 goals in those 7 games. I believe they got knocked out in the first round that year. But in 98-99, the team bounces back. He only plays 66 games, 22 goals, 27 assists, 49 points in those 66 games. He's healthy in the playoffs, though. 19 games played in the playoffs, 8 goals, 4 assists, 12 points. They lost in the conference finals that year against Dallas. 99-2000, 71 games played, 18 goals, 27 assists, 45 points. 17 games in the playoffs, 4 goals, 11 assists, 15 points. Notice, his points per game in the playoffs are very strong at a time when scoring is at a premium. So in big games, he shows up. Now, 2000-2001. This would be his last year in Colorado. 39 games, 13 goals, 13 assists, 26 points. And they had a line of pickles named after him. Deadmarsh Dilly Dills is what I was reading. Yeah. And there are still Deadmarsh t-shirts that are apparently popular in Denver. He's a very popular guy. But he gets traded. On February 1st of 2001 with Aaron Miller, he's traded to the LA Kings. And also with Jared Allen. Going the other way, a 2001, no. All right, let me go back. He's traded. That's a lot he's traded with. February 1st, 2001, he's traded with Aaron Miller, Jared Allen, a first-round pick in 2001, which became Dave Steckel, a 2003 first, which became Brian Boyle, and going the other way to Colorado, Rob Blake and Steven Reinprecht, which seemed like sacrilege because Rob Blake was supposed to be a King for his whole career, but he goes to Colorado. So, with those 26 points in 39 games for Colorado, he's still having a good year. Misses some games with injury. Plays 18 games after joining the Kings. 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. So his scoring in the regular season, patchy. But in the postseason, 13 games, 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. They upset Detroit in the first round. And this was where they got Felix Potvin. Potvin played great that round. And everything went pretty darn well for the Kings. Now, in Game 4, they're down 3-0. And it looks like they're going to be done. And they came back. They scored 3 in the third. And then they actually, would end up scoring the 6-game upset of the Detroit Red Wings before they'd move on to play the Avalanche in 7 games. So he is part of a team that fights the Avalanche tooth and nail for a full 7 games, the guys he'd played with every year before that, and they just barely lose a series to a team, and I mean barely lose, and it takes 7 games for Colorado to take them out, even though record-wise the Kings hadn't been all that special during the regular season. But you get Potvin's hot, and Deadmarsh comes in and just things coalesce really, really well. And, of course, the Avs would end up winning a Stanley Cup. So he misses out on his second cup ring by going to L.A., but he plays very well for L.A. 2001, 2002. 76 games played, 29 goals, 33 assists, 62 points. In the playoffs, he only plays the 4 games, 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. Now, 2002, 2003, 20 games played, 13 goals, 4 assists, 17 points. I remember I was so excited. I thought, finally, Deadmarsh should at least score 40. You got to think, 27 goals in 60 games, that's reachable. At the rate that he was going, that was reachable. Maybe he would have got 30, but still, he had 29 here, 33 here. If he ends up with 30, that's not bad. He only needs 17 goals in the next 60 games to get there. It's doable. However, December 15th of 2002, he would play his last NHL game against Phoenix. In that game, he suffers a major concussion. That concussion would take him out for the rest of 2003 and 2004. Now, what's interesting about that is that, of course, you have the lockout takes out the season of 04-05. But he doesn't feel better. September 22nd of 2005, he retires. So he was in between those 2 times. He would represent the USA at the Olympics twice. He goes to Lugano, where the team finished 5th, or 6th, I should say, 4 games and 1 goal for him there. In 2002, he won silver at the Olympics, 6 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. He was a very good team player, and on the international stage, he did well, and the teams he played for normally did well as well. So his retirement was too bad. However, the Colorado Avalanche bring him in as a video and assistant coach. He would keep both roles until 2011-2012. After that season ended, he stepped down due to ongoing concussion symptoms. And this is one of those careers that I look at and say, this is why the NHL has to take concussions seriously. Because this was a player who'd been mostly healthy throughout his career, and then a major concussion against Phoenix, and it takes him out. And, 9 years later, it takes him out of an assistant coaching job. He stayed on as a development coach for the following season for 2012-2013, but he steps down from that. Now, currently, at least at the season we just had wiped out by everything that's going on around us, he's been an assistant coach for the Spokane Chiefs since 2007. And in my research, that contract was extended for a year last summer. I haven't seen whether or not it's extended into next season, but of course, everything's kind of on hold when it comes to junior hockey, but it's nice to see that he's an assistant coach for Spokane. Now, again, 2-way aggressive player, a guy who had 29 goals here. He had 22, 22, 33, 21. Good, solid scorer, and one of those guys that, again, I think gets underrated if you're looking back all these years later. And so this is why this playlist is going to continue and exist and move on. And it's, again, and I said this about the Eddie Beers video yesterday, it's not as much about views and what it generates and all that. It's about the fact that this guy played 567 games, had 373 points, Grand total of 184 goals and 189 assists. And if you're a fan looking at those numbers now, you might just look at those numbers and say, he was okay, he was good, didn't play that long, I wonder what happened to him. And here's what happened. So, just going over everything I've got here, making sure I've got everything on the board mentioned to all you fine people, and yes, I do. And so there you go, the career of Adam Deadmarsh from Trail, BC, a hero in both Canada and the US, is I guess the best way to put it. And it is a shame that his career was cut short, because honestly, with his heart and his drive, I have no doubt he would have scored at least, I'll say 300 goals in his career. I'll say conservatively 300 goals. Just based on where he was trending and that great season he was having when he got hurt. It just was a real gut punch, because I felt like finally the league was going to see what I had seen watching him play, that he was just a really good heart and soul guy, and that the offense wasn't necessarily showing in each season. I thought that potential was there. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.